We will discuss the concept of value chain analysis, which perhaps happens to be one of the most important concepts of strategic management. This is Anthony Rose, professor at IMED, and I've been here for about 15 years, and I discuss strategic management to a large extent. This concept has been gaining importance basically because every business organization deals with very, very important pertinent factors called as the external environment and the internal environment. Well, for the sake of brevity of today's discussion, we will focus only on the internal environment, which happens to be one of the foremost key cornerstones of a business trying to improvise itself so as to be relevant and keep intact the changing demands of the external environment. It is a constant cycle for a business to discover its competencies. This comes from resources. So there's a constant process of trying to build resources and shape them into competencies, because that's where strategies get shaped. That's where strategies build something called as competitive advantage. And so trying to look at something called as value chain analysis becomes very imperative, because firms primarily focus on in the markets focus either on cost or either on quality, any one of these. So it's always a constant endeavor for a firm to look at how do I best provide quality at an appropriate price. And I think this is derived from the customer's need in terms of trying to get value from the services or the products that they use. So I think a business then has more options in trying to look at how do I create this value for the customers. So that comes either from the customer receives value either from the ownership of the product, or from the costs that are reduced in terms of product creation by the companies, or maybe also from the pricing of these products and services by organizations. So these are some of the areas which customers look for value creation. So value creation basically is a template which provides those very important determinant aspects for a firm to look at trying to improvise, trying to trying to increase efficiencies, and perhaps and possibly reduce costs of various operations in the organizations. It has two basic aspects, which are, one is which consists of all activities which fall under primary activities, and then you have some activities which support those primary activities, and hence they are called as support activities. So remember, all of these are stages right from the movement of products from its stage of getting it from the vendor's raw material stage and up to the final stage of conceiving and delivery of these products to the consumers at large. Let us focus now on the primary activities. So the primary activities has 5 different aspects, 5 different major activities which are categorized, which categorize the various operations of an organization. They consist of something called as inbound logistics. Second is operations. Third is outbound logistics. Fourth is marketing and sales, and fifth is service. Now let us just kind of look at each one of them in a very brief manner. Inbound logistics deals with all that is all the activities consisting of that wherein the firm tries to pick up its raw materials or its components. Typically auto industries or PC industries require huge component parts, and so they will source out many different vendors. So vendor management happens to be a very, very important activity. Building in relationships, bonding, and trying to manage these vendors, trying to create relationships with these vendors so that you can meet demands from your consumer about your products is one of the most important focus activity of this value chain. And so I think there are certain companies who have done extremely well when it comes to inbound logistics. Second happens to be your operation. Now this happens to be the core of your entire organization because every organization will have its own identity in terms of having its process defined. So having the right process defined and deriving value of this process also happens to be one of the core activity for an organization. The third and the very important aspect or activity happens to be outbound logistics. Now, today we look at many of these e-commerce platforms trying to look at logistics and outbound with a very serious view and with a bird's eye view rather. So it all activities here deal with distribution, deal with warehousing, deal with how efficient we are in trying to reach our products through the distribution channel through various markets. Because today companies are either operating at a country level or at a global level, and so each one of these dynamics change when you are at country or global level. Also today there are multiple avenues of trying to create new channels of distribution, and in fact when we talk about retail companies, today we have modern channels which are now adorned by the younger group of population in this country and also at a global level. So I think outbound logistics happens to be another core area which a company cannot really not pay attention to, and secondly there is tremendous value to be derived focusing on this aspect of the value chain. Next we have is marketing and sales, and this happens to be also of prime importance. We're talking about how does one build a brand, how does one reach out to the final consumer, and how does one connect to the consumers through multiple connection points. So these are something that has to be looked into, and there are tremendous ways of trying to increase more value. Being there to the customer, to his proximity, also happens to be of a key concern to many organizations. The last happens to be service of the primary activities, which is service, and today in fact I've seen that many organizations, those who are into manufacturing, have also increased service components to a great level. You see companies doing it. In fact, in the balance sheets, you see the service component of a manufacturing company also earning enough revenues for an organization. So this is something that cannot be ignored. It also emphasizes last mile connectivity. It also tries to endure your last mile connectivity. So if you're backed with extremely good service offering, so if you position yourself as a service oriented organization, though you're manufacturing your products, so I think this serves to be of tremendous value, because majority of customer dealings or customer requirements come only after the sales of the product has happened. So that's where a product, for example, you're buying a car, it's not that one-time decision of the consumer who buys a car. He requires your help maybe for the next 10 years while he's using the car, and so I think service plays a very detrimental role for any organization. Okay, now let's move on to something called as support activities. Whilst we are doing our primary activities, there are 4 basic areas that a firm should focus on and which kind of support your primary activities, and that's the very nature of the name of support activities. They are firm infrastructure, second is your human resource management, third happens to be your technological development, and fourth happens to be your procurement. We'll quickly look at each of these. When we speak about firm infrastructure, we're dealing with the entire strategy of the organizations, we're dealing with entire hierarchical structure, we're dealing with the entire layout of the organization, because your layout is reflective of the current business model adopted by the organization, and there is tremendous scope for trying to create more value, to speed up, to look at, to facilitate decision making are all very, very important support activities. Management of employees, I don't call them employees, I call them as human capital, because they are the ones who contribute tremendously to the organization's profitability. So if this is ignored, I think your firm will not be able to be profitable in the long term. So I think trying to have the right policies, trying to have the right training programs, trying to look at succession plannings, development of people on a regular basis, constant training are very important ingredients, and that takes your organization to the next level. Third, we cannot ignore the platform upon which majority of organizations today deal with, its technology. And today we're looking at big data, we're looking at cloud computing. So all of these now create competencies for businesses themselves. I mean, we have seen firms grow due to technology. We have seen firms speed up and grow 10x because of enhancement of technology. So I think that's something where which can create tremendous value. E-commerce platforms today depend totally on technology. And in fact, in India, you've seen so many startups which are based on technology today, right? So I think it's something that really will help in creating tremendous value for an organization. And finally, you have all the procurement systems, procurement of all your resources within the organization. So I think with this I end up. And if a firm has to have profitability, if a firm wants to create that brand equity, I think value chain analysis, the framework of value chain analysis will give it tremendous impetus in trying to create the edge among competition, and yet build advantage based on some of these aspects that we have seen of value chain analysis. Thank you.